How are you, John? Good to see you. Good to meet you.
Home builders. Yeah. All right, everybody, it's a couple minutes after 1, so I think we're going to start off possibly by, if we can get people to tell us your name and who you're with. We're going to have a huge crowd here and just kind of see who's here and who we're talking to. If you want to start on this side right here, how about that? Put you on the spot.
My name is Philip Jones. With Legacy Construction Group. We're a commercial and residential general contractor in the tri-area.
Thank you.
Everyone, my name is Will Ely. I'm the Green Economy Program Director at Piedmont Environmental Alliance. Here's up about a number of federal incentives and rebate programs to the benefit of.
Stay till the end. He'll be presenting on that.
Stephen Sills, Humane Housing Network Consultant and Twin City Housing Collective.
Paul McCoy, Forsyth Humane Housing member.
Sonny Mitchell, Development Project Manager for Anchor.
Andrew Taylor, I'm a developer with TWG.
Tony Crawford, Crawford Home Improvements.
I'm Natalie Gray with Fine Line Homes.
I'm Crystal with Fine Line Homes and the Equitable Homeownership Project.
Thank you. Let's start over here and move around again.
Clement Little with Little and Strip Developers.
I'm Brittany Bailey. I work with Little Street Developers.
Hey, Bryce Sherburne, infill development. We kind of knock around various aspects of affordability.
Lerma Davis, Silver Road Partners, work on affordable housing developments.
Hi, John Butler, John Butler from Crosby Southeast, to the affordable housing.
Thank you.
Carlos Parks with Versatile Real Estate Group, also Twin City Housing and Happy Hill Neighborhood Association.
Thank you.
Mark Richardson with Greenway Residential, do tax benefits, affordable housing.
Thank you.
Bruce Hubbard, Winston-Salem, Upper Realty.
John Mooney, also with Upper Realty.
Brendan Mahoney, developer for Buckeye Community Hope Foundation.
All the way over there.
John Miller, Max Insurance Center.
Thank you.
Antoine McLean and Legacy Property Group.
James Fountain, North Carolina Growth and Development Initiative.
Nice to meet you.
Owen Hearn III, contractor developer.
And we have one new person. And your name? Oh, you're, okay, you're together? All right, that's fine.
Michael Sutherland.
Oh, miss you. Okay. Did we get everybody? I think we did. All right, well, first off, thank you for being here today. Welcome. We certainly appreciate you taking time out of your busy days to be here. So basically, here's the agenda. We're going to do staff introductions and an overview of the session, talk about the notice of funding availability, the funds that we have that we're setting aside this particular iteration of RFPs that make available for affordable housing. Talk about city-owned lots. We'll actually give a demonstration of the map system that we have that I sent out to everybody, which I've gotten pretty good feedback on so far. John Kuros will be giving a talk about the design guidelines, especially on single-family homes on city-owned lots, neighborly software updates, which we've done. And then also we'll talk about the scoring matrix, which is not the end-all be-all in terms of who gets funding and who doesn't, but it still exists. Then we'll go over an annual schedule and deadlines. That's Airspet Adame Smith. She just left to go get her laptop. I think we have a YouTube issue there. So, and then for environmental efficiency and energy efficiency resources, we have Will Ely with Piedmont Environmental Alliance, who will speak at the end of our presentation. And we'll have some Q&As as we go along. So I am Michael Blair. I'm the Housing Development Director. I've been here with the city since October 6th. I come from the Piedmont Tri-Regional Council, which is in Kernersville. I was there for 13 years. And basically, the Office of Affordable Housing was part of Neighborhood Services. It's been apart and then broken off, I think, on 3 or 4 different occasions. We're a completely independent department from Neighborhood Services. I think that confuses people sometimes, but we're not even in the same building anymore. And I'll talk about, again, the financing, the city-owned lots, scoring matrix map demonstration. We also have Tapria Bryant, who is right here behind me. She is our senior administrative assistant with the department. She's been with us since December. since December, coming from utilities with the city. So she's been with the city for over 10 years. She's also our lot manager, so she'll be updating the map that you all see, and actually, when people have questions about lots, she'll be the first contact on the lots. John Quiros is our housing development construction manager and project supervisor. He'll talk about design guidelines again, neighborly software update, and then they will get into the energy efficiency resources, Piedmont Environmental Alliance. Real quickly on the design, the affordable housing manual that I sent out to everybody. Over the last 3 months, we've actually updated that. It still remains basically the same, but I added in some things. I added in the Ordinance 210, which is the Housing Justice Act, which was not a part. It wasn't mentioned in the manual at the beginning. So try to make sure that that was there along with the Affordable Housing Act, which is Ordinance 2-9. And broke out the differences between them in terms of affordability and what you have to do, whether it's a city lot or a non-city lot. Also adjusted a little bit the scoring and tried to focus a little more on amenities, but also special needs like intellectually developmentally disabled, for instance, or any other special need, and trying to give an encouragement for that in under 30% AMI income. So that's led to changes in the neighborly software, which John will go over. So we've basically gone through a process with council to come up with how we're going to release city-owned lots and city-owned funding towards affordable housing. And that's been reflected in the manual as well as the RFP and how we're going to go forward with that. And I can say that I think we all know that there's an affordable housing issue. I mean, there always has been. And actually, you had, starting in the 40s and 30s, the FHA 608 loans. And, you had all sorts of programs trying to address affordable housing starting, almost 100 years ago here in America. And it exists in all countries. But, I mean, there's an ebb and flow to it, obviously, but there's obviously an inventory issue that we have here in America right now, and that's why we want these city-owned lots offloaded from the city. The city doesn't need to own this many lots and this many properties. We'll talk briefly, real quick before we get into this, with 800 Spring Street. We put this, that's an 8-unit complex on North Spring. That along with 1200 Willie Davis, which is a 6-unit complex, which has been rehabbed actually recently, so it's in great shape. If we don't get what I consider adequate offers on that, we'll probably go on a different route on those properties. But I wanted to see exactly what the interest was in them. That's why they're available now. So it's a little different from your typical lot situation. And we will try to have a site visit on that for people that are interested, probably middle to late next week, but we're having trouble trying to arrange that right now, even though we own the properties. All right, so what the training is, it's a dive into each section of the process. We're trying to help anybody that's wanting to apply to understand exactly what we're looking for and how you go about applying and how to submit a responsive proposal. What it is not, we're not going to talk about specific proposals or concerns because we don't have enough time for that. We also want people to have a certain amount of confidentiality, I think, going forward if they are applying. And we will not teach you how to create a proposal, although John will go through Neighborly and show you exactly what you need to put into Neighborly. So I guess we are doing that in a way. All right, yeah, all right. So we will do that. And, we can't teach anybody how to develop affordable housing. I don't develop affordable housing. We simply fund it. So we can't really teach you that. You should know that. All right, so the Notice of Funding of Opportunity application process. Basically, this is for tax credit properties, but also there's bond properties, there's 221D4s, there's, other equity type of properties. It's not only for tax credits. If you have a bond deal or something like that, we are willing to at least look into that, and it is eligible. It is financing. So I mentioned that 4% bonds, and spelled out, et cetera, which people find uncomfortable sometimes. But so basically, all of these are going to require income restrictions, unit set-asides, and affordability periods. Ordinance 2-9 is for any property that's a city property that you put affordable housing on. So If it's multifamily, then you have to have 65% of the units have to be between 80, 50, and 30% units split up there, and 35% could be workforce or market rate. If it's not on a city-owned property and we fund you, then 2-9 or 2-10 could apply. And 2-10 is the Housing Justice Act. And it requires 35% affordability with the balance as market rate or mid-market or whatever you can get for it. The Housing Justice Act also requires you to be fairly flexible with people coming in with criminal background checks on the management of the property, as well as just trying to be as open and as unrestrictive as possible for people leasing and living in the properties. The city investment, basically it's fixed income, interest only. It's 2% per year. The payments cover interest only, and the principal remains untouched during the term. This is for large-scale rentals and funding that goes into them, not really single-family. Residual income, it's really not applicable. We're not going to be subject to really or participate in residual income at the end of how some of the tax credits are set up. I ran this in a couple of different places, and 2% interest only is doable, generally speaking, but everything's negotiable. So if that doesn't work completely, we're willing to, that's our starting point. So does anybody have any questions about that or anything that I've gone over so far? Yeah, absolutely, we can do that. We'll turn it into a PDF and send it out after the meeting. All right, so we'll move into city-owned lots and construction financing process. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to Tapriya here just for a minute because she is our lot manager. I actually say keeper of the lots, but that's, I don't know, so I find it funny. Or amusing.
It's an inside joke. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. As Michael stated, I am the lot manager. So the map is new to us, but we are excited to introduce it. What you're seeing on the screen here is the most up-to-date version of our city-owned lot inventory that we have at this time. With that being said, the map is accurate as we know it today, but it's not 100% in real time. The availability can shift as parcels move through the internal review, the due diligence, and other development processes. We do want you to know that the inventory is intended to serve as a helpful planning tool for developers and home builders and community stakeholders. We want you to be able to explore the different housing opportunities for housing development. If you are interested in a specific parcel or have questions regarding availability, please feel free to contact me directly. This is my email here, as well as my office number. We will be making updates to the portal continually. We'll be adding and removing as the process advances. Our goal is to keep the inventory as current and transparent as possible so that you can plan effectively. We do appreciate your patience and understanding as we work to maintain the most accurate information possible while balancing the internal processes. Our commitment is to support responsible housing development that aligns with the community needs and the long-term goals. So just let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Tapriya.
You're welcome.
So what I'll do now, has everybody had a chance to actually click on this map and actually try to use it? Generally speaking, has it been fairly user-friendly? Okay, so basically, when you go into it, you hit accept. The next thing right here that says what Tapriya just said, provided for informational and planning purposes only, questions about specific lots, parcels, and details can be sent to AHD proposals at City of Winston-Salem, but also directly to Tapriya. So I'm going to give you an example of something that just changed. This lot, or this is as accurate as we can be to a point, but this lot right here, which is kind of adjacent to Happy Hill, is going to be put on a kind of a hold for 3-year period for development by the local group if they're able to pull that together. So we're hoping to help facilitate that, but that just came about just the other day. So the map is still showing that as available, and you see status available. That status will change to held until a certain date or developed. But, you know, I think the beauty of these is you can actually zoom in on an area, you know, see exactly a number of single-family lots that may actually be a bit, I mean, you can combine them. You don't necessarily have to, you know, do a single-family house on every single-family lot. Maybe you've got a couple of lots that aren't really buildable. You could, you know, get them merged and put in maybe a fourplex or an eightplex. I mean, one of the things I'm trying to encourage is smaller scale development on, you know, remaining land. And people don't build fourplexes anymore, but why don't we build some fourplexes? You know, it's like, you know, an eightplex or whatever, a 10-unit property. They're not fantastic, but for a small builder, you can certainly, you know, maintain it with the income that's brought out of it, even with, you know, affordable rents associated with it. So, you know, when you look at, you know, 6 or 8 lots together, what could you put on that? Is it 8 single-family homes, or is it maybe a couple of townhomes? I don't know. That's really up to the developers to figure that out. But you've got clusters. I don't know if you've looked at, you know, for layers, you can get census, actually the blocks, they're supposed to be low to moderate income blocks. That will be corrected. Right now it has every block on the map. But here are the low income tracts, which if you're looking at, you know, hard to develop areas, or, you know, there's some tax credit benefits to being in some of these areas. So, you know, you can use that as a helpful tool. Wards is interesting because you can then see what ward and who you'll be, you know, possibly communicating with the project that's going in. So I think that's helpful. So when you come to filters, it gets a little more complicated, or not complicated, easier, fun stuff. You could search between 3 acres and 8 acres if you're doing a tax credit project. You don't have to look at the small lots if you do that. Priority is not as important, but, you know, you could pick a ward and then only those lots in that ward show up. So if you had view properties, they pop up right here. So now instead of saying how many lots are in X ward, we actually can tell you that in about 2 minutes now, instead of going through a map book and trying to count them. So that's one of the changes that we've made. The biggest one, here's the zoning. You know, if you're looking for specific zoning, you don't want to rezone, then you go into here and pick the zoning that you need. And then the status, we're going to try to, and Tapriya hit on this, we're going to try to be as current as we can with, you know, available, not available, pending, you know, land banked or whatever. But, you know, that there will be challenges to that, and staff is trying to get trained up in GIS, ArcGIS, to actually make those edits in our department, not going to other department staff to make those changes. So anyway, that's the mapping system. And actually at the bottom here, you have view active projects. These are projects that have been funded over the last few years here through either ARPA or the bond money from 2014, 2018. And so you have a number of them. It's not as sophisticated as the lot map, but it will be eventually, where you can pull up the wards and you can have the low income tracts and low income block groups as well. So these are a work in progress. But are there any questions about the map or how you utilize the map for site selection?
Michael, I do have a question.
Yes.
There was a question in the YouTube chat that stated, if a lot is not on the list but it's owned by the city, what is the process?
So if a lot is owned by the city, but it's not on the map, and there are going to be a lot of them because the city owns over 1,000 parcels, we're in the process of trying to inventory and figure out exactly which one of those lots are going to be available for development. If you find a city-owned lot that is not on the map, contact us and we will let you know whether it's available or not. There are some conservation overlays that you have to be, you know, if you go onto the Forsyth County GIS site, you'll see conservation overlays in some areas. So a developer has put something in years ago and they set aside this land as a conservation overlay. That's not going anywhere. But if it's a city-owned property that's vacant, they will eventually end up on this map, but not all of them are here now. So contact us and we'll let you know whether it's something that you should pursue in this cycle or not, or in this iteration of funding or not. So hopefully that answered the question. Okay. Are there any other questions about the map or the lot availability? Yes, sir.
How do you make a determination when more than one developer is interested in a particular lot?
Well, with the lots themselves, we say the minimum is $1. But if you've got two equal applications and one says $1,000 and one says $1, we'll probably, take the one that offers $1,000 because that will go back into the Affordable Housing Trust Fund and be used for more affordable housing. That's saying if all things are equal.
So there's no consideration as to what type of development that particular developer wants.
That would be a part of the analysis of what kind of development. And also, somebody might want to do rental and somebody might want to do homeowner. That comes down to one of the application requirements that we have now where you have to get feedback from the local association. I didn't really get into that yet, but that's part of it. So if you do have competing offers essentially on properties, then we'll have to go through a process of determining which is the best offer for the city along with the goals of the city for affordable housing, which meets those at the highest level. And they may have to put them back out, may have to reject everything. I don't know yet. We haven't had that happen since we've recreated the department or doing this in the first time again. So are there any other questions about city lots?
Michael, are you still employing the same scoring system to evaluate these?
It's similar, but I'm going to say this. The scoring system is not the only tool that we use to evaluate and recommend to go forward projects.
And one other thought, regarding your comment about the missing middle piece and fourplexes,
Mm-hmm.
what would the city or your department's view with respect to any zoning changes? Is that on the developer?
That's on the developer, but I mean, we'll advocate. I mean, we can't, we don't set the agenda for the zoning planning board, but we'd certainly advocate for somebody that had a project that was putting in, good infill to help with the issue. I mean, density is one way to address our inventory issue. It also makes it easier to develop pieces of land that you couldn't do a tax credit on, but you can do, a 6-unit property on. Are there any other questions? Okay. Yes.
I apologize. I have another question on YouTube. Did you want to go ahead and take those?
Sure. Okay. We were going to park the YouTube comments till the end, but might as well hit them now.
Okay. Another question from YouTube was, does the city allow new fourplexes?
In the new Forward 45 plan, those are encouraged. I think it would have to go through a rezoning process, but I think with new overlay districts and new area plans, those will be basically options that will be made available for developers. But I'm not in the planning department, so that is just my understanding of it at this moment, and they'll probably call me later today and say, Michael, you're wrong. And that's okay. So, are there any other questions on YouTube? Or?
That's it for right now.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah, from the point of application, how long is the period before lot transfer? How quickly can we break ground after?
We're going to actually, Arispet will go over the scheduling of everything. We're on a tight schedule. We're going to basically get these applications in, score them, evaluate them, put them through to the Affordable Housing Coalition, and then if anybody has any objections, that's where that's supposed to happen. Then they'll move forward to the committee and then to council and hopefully get to the council meeting on the 4th of May. So any tax credit applications that needed that funding obligation could get that before the tax credits are due May 15th. I mean, we'd like to see construction start fast on projects because there's no need for affordable housing. So the sooner we get units up and people in them, the sooner we're helping people that needed the assistance. Okay, so, other major changes I should mention in the development manual is the per unit max that we've got for specifically single-family homes is $40,000 a unit. It's up from $35,000 a unit. And that's for construction and assistance with the construction to bring down the cost of the house. So, and actually, Arispet will speak on that a little more too, here in a minute. But again, we are wanting to encourage missing middle infill, and we will attempt to facilitate that as best we can with the city lots or the funding if funding is requested. We can negotiate up to $100,000 on multifamily, but remember, we only have $3 million set aside for funding now anyway. So we want to fund and get as many units out of that money as possible. So, all right, so let me get back to the PowerPoint. All right, I kind of went over this. You know, there's all sorts of different funding. Usually it's a bank loan, construction loan, along with the city funding. You can generally get something built and sold. But again, requires income restrictions and affordability period. If it's city-owned lots, again, it's ordinance 2-9. If it's for sale, it's 80% for both 2-9 and 2-10. If it's for rent, then it changes. So, all right, here we go. We're going to move on to John. Are there any questions about the big overview that I just gave? Yes, sir. Yes.
You've just raised the bar.
There is, excuse me, yes, they are occupied. I don't know if they're 100% occupied, but they're somewhere in that ballpark.
How can we get information around what the rents are? If there's any rental assistance currently? Like, how do we do that?
You need to send that to us, and what we can do is if other people are interested, we'd collect that information and give it to whoever's interested in those properties. And I also want to throw out that if you have an existing naturally occurring affordable housing property that needs work, I mean, you can apply for that for rental rehabilitation too. So it's not all new construction. We're open to adaptive reuse. I mean, there's lots of different opportunities out there. So, all right, any other questions? Okay, moving on to John. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate that. Let me get a little comfy here. Okie doke. Let's go out. Oh, perfect. Thank you. Okay. Welcome again, everyone. We are glad that you're all here. We truly appreciate it. In case you might not have gotten one of Michael's cards, the official name of our department is the Office of Housing Development. We kind of like it. It happened through marketing, and we went for it, and kind of gives us a little bit of a ring, if you will. What I'd like to do right now, before I get deep into this really fun part of the presentation, is I want to acknowledge my coworkers, Arispet and Tapriya and Michael. They are just awesome to work with, and I'm not just saying that. I've been here a while and been through a lot over my years being in construction, and I truly, truly appreciate their efforts and assistance in trying to do the very best we can to provide affordable housing. So, as you can see up on the screen, when we first started with the very first iteration of this program, we produced what we call an affordable housing design guidelines. Since everyone in here is from the construction industry, I'm just going to kind of go through the highlights on this because it's just common sense application of what the city is looking for in what you guys will be building, especially in regards to single-family homes. We'd like to have some unity or continuity, rather, in the designs, but we also allow for a little bit of individualism, but I'll go ahead and get started now. So basically, it starts off with building location, pedestrian access, and building entrances. As I mentioned, everything is pretty much self-explanatory, and this is a guide. It's a general guide. It's not like it has to be within strict parameters, but it's to give anyone that has any concerns on a particular neighborhood or area at least some assistance with trying to make the proper design of your new home. I'm going to scroll down, and we're going to get to building entrances. This is something that, you know, comes as second nature, but basically, single family, the primary pedestrian entrance to a new single family residential home or home to be rehabilitated shall face the street. We've had instances where just because of the lot size and what have you, we've had some contractors trying to not meet that requirement, but again, we strongly encourage it. Windows would be the next one. And again, this is all about if you have infill lots and you've got 3 houses that have been built maybe back in the 50s to 60s, you don't want to come in with a new modern, you know, square shed roof with aluminum siding and just throw it in there. So I say it like that because to keep a certain amount of uniformity is what we're looking for. You can see the examples here from the very first one on the left to the other houses where they just, you know, randomly, for whatever reason, just went with different types of grids in the windows, and we would discourage that very, very greatly. I had referenced individual identity. Well, again, we're not looking for, you know, cookie cutter type houses. That's not what we're looking for, but to maintain within certain parameters where there's a good view when you're accessing any particular city block here in the city to have a visual pleasing effect. The porches, this is one that kind of gets overlooked, although I haven't had really too many plans that I've reviewed that have been an issue, just some minor tweaking. But basically your front porches, we're looking to have 6 to 8 feet in depth, and a minimum shall span at least 12 feet in width. If you have a partial porch, this one's pretty easy, and it applies to most of the houses that we've had built. Basically, we're looking to have a projection of at least 3 feet beyond the front building facade. Garages. This is one that most of the prior contractors that have provided or submitted applications, except just for maybe a few, everyone has provided garages in their house plans. And nowadays, that's what homeowners are looking for. It gives them that extra space, whether they park the car in or not. The big thing here is that you want to have, and I'll scroll down just to make it easier, the garage, obviously not even with the front elevation or the front wall of the structure, but set back so that it isn't protruding like this image right here. This next slide is very limited as far as where I have seen within city limits, where we have a back alleyway to provide access to a garage. It's mainly closer to your downtown area. The further out you go, the less you will ever see that, but this addresses that. And by the way, I know you all have plenty to stay on top of and read and contend with, but do look through this particular design guidelines, because it sort of refreshes the mind, and as you're trying to process what house plan you're going to put on the selected lots, it'll give you hopefully a little bit of direction and clarity. The next one is roofs. Again, it's all about trying to have some kind of uniformity. We really leave it up to the contractor, to the home builder, but again, keeping everything within a certain parameter. Building mass and scale, this is a really good example, a bit extreme, if you will, but you can see most of these houses have gable ends, they kind of sort of flow, and this builder decided to just go in with a shallow one-story house, which is fine, but as you can see the one on the left, they had a proper gable end roof, and it just looks better on that street. Again, it's keeping the perspective of the neighborhood and trying to make things flow so it's appealing to everyone. Section K basically addresses exterior cladding, and again, the more you guys want to do and provide in these homes, the better. Again, just trying to keep in some kind of uniformity with the other houses within the neighborhood. The next slide is utility placement, and I know I'm a licensed builder myself, so I know where you guys have been. And the big deal is dealing with Duke Energy and having them come out and figure out where they're gonna run their wires to that meter can and where it all looks applicable and functional. As you can see, we don't want it on the front of the house, not necessarily on the side. They're basically showing it going through the attic space, which is, that's quite the rendition there. But we'd look for it somewhere around the back, if at all possible. So again, applying common sense. And as simplistic as some of these guidances or illustrations are, nonetheless, they're important to keep in mind because it's part of our program. Yes, sir. Yes.
You talked about garages. You know, when you're building an affordable house for an 80% home buyer and you just build a house and there's nothing around it, there's not a storage shed, there's not a carport, there's not a garage, you know, where do you put them all over? You know, and so we'd like to see some attempt to provide sort of an exterior storage method on most of these houses, just so I think the programs actually went in and built garages behind some Habitat houses a couple years ago, because there's no place to store things. So I would encourage, again, storage unit or a shed, carport. Carports are great. You can build like a box on the back of it where you can put your lawnmowers, bikes, and stuff like that. It doesn't have to be all four walls. So just keep that in mind.
Okay.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate that.
Excuse me. John?
Yes?
My apologies. Can he speak that into the microphone? They can't hear it on YouTube.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought my voice was loud enough. I had my outside voice, but okay. Is that better?
Yeah. Well,
okay.
Michael just needs to answer his question in the microphone, if he can, for YouTube to hear it.
Michael needs to answer?
The question that he just answered.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Very good. So you need him to do it again, is what you're saying? Come talk about the garage.
Yes, I'm sorry.
You did a really good presentation on that.
Yes.
You've got that down. I can't take that from you. Okay, just back to garages. While it's not a requirement that you have a garage when you build a house on a city-owned lot, a single-family home for sale, we would like to see garage, carport with storage on the backside possibly, or a storage shed, just so people have someplace to put things outside of the kitchen. So.
Just hit escape.
I just need to get online so I can get
you're fine. You want to get to the link? You want to log into it?
Yeah, I'll log into it with my information.
Should be coming up here in just a second.
Thank you, Supriya. All right, thank you for your patience, everyone. So now we get into what is really the heart of the program, because the information you guys provide in Neighborly is the crux of us determining whether your application is going to be if it's going to move forward or if there's going to be issues or denied. So please, and I will try, I've got a lot of items highlighted because I want to make sure we get the proper information to you guys so that you'll know what's going on. If you give me just a second so I can log in here. Okay, so basically, especially the developers and home builders that have gone through our iterations before. You're familiar with Neighborly to some extent because that's how we received your application. So once you're in and you've got basically an ID number and you've got the address here of the property, you're going to start with your application. And the program disclaimer, we've made a few changes since the last iteration of this program, and the one that I did want to bring up was the one that is basically where my cursor is. If I can see here what we got. Okay, I'm sorry, here we go. It's just below the first checkoff box. It says your project may be funded with money from the federal government. If so, compliance with all applicable regulatory requirements will be required. This includes, but is not limited to, HUD contractor consultant certification standing. This is the one that's changed, is the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, known as DBE. We were accepting certifications for the MWBE certification, but it has been, as I have been made aware, has been upgraded to being called the Disadvantaged Business Enterprises. And I just wanted to bring that to your attention because there is further reference in the application as we go forward. I do want to say, before I go on anymore, and everyone that's here for the second round have heard me say this before, please make sure your application is filled out to the utmost fullest. Again, you have home builders, you have developers. The application is geared or designed to provide for both. Just keep it in mind, you're a home builder, well, you're going to answer the questions that are relevant to home building. Okay, so to start off, what we've done is we've tried to make the application as clear as possible. And one of the big things we decided to do was to kind of explain each page as you would be going through it and filling it out. And right at the top, we've got this application is for both single home builders and multi-unit light tech developer. Please answer all questions completely. And what we've done is this. The program requires that whether you're a home builder or a developer, mainly developers for the most part that we've seen up to now, usually will find a parcel that they want. There are several that have chosen more than one. What I'm getting at is that as you're filling out this application, say you're a home builder, you're gonna need to pick out a minimum of 3 lots. And by doing so, we've geared the application to handle that. So here's your project contact information, Mr. Home Builder. Then the next one would be the project address. This would be the lot where you're planning on trying to build a house. So it'd be lot 1, lot 2, lot 3. And you're gonna be filling out this information, not in triplicate, but listing each lot separately so that it's all clear. Yes?
Prior to this, you had 3 separate full applications you had to fill out.
Correct. Yes, good point. So we're trying to condense the information into one so we can actually process through it as quickly as possible, as thoroughly as possible, and to make time of the essence work in all our favors. So as you go on down, you're seeing the same thing. The PIN number for lot 1, lot 2, lot 3, your wards, 1, 2, and 3. I do want to just go back to wards. It is very important that you make sure you fill that out, that we know what ward you're in. The more time we take into trying to figure out what your intentions are in these applications, it kind of puts a negative connotation. So please, again, fill out as much as possible.
The map helps you figure that out.
Correct. That is quite the map. We were using, for those that don't know, we were using basically a PDF and just going through where it had all the lots, pictures of certain sections of the city, and it was quite cumbersome. You could find the lots because other developers and builders did find those, but it was just more cumbersome. What Michael did on that was really impressive. So going on to the rest of this, at the bottom, and again, I'm not trying to go through this too quickly, but again, they're asking you questions like, is the site located within city limits? Lot 2, is the site, again, same question, and just basically answer yes or no. At the bottom of section A, we've got two, A8 and A9. So A8 is for environmental review, and that is basically for light tech projects only. A9, what we're requesting there from the home builders, and also it'll be for developers, but even from the home builders, we want a narrative of your project. Tell us why you guys are building the best houses in town, why yours is special. You don't have to get crazy and overdo it, but give us something that sell it to us, I guess is the best way I could put it. As far as the developers for multi-unit complexes, they normally provide this, and they'll go on and provide, you know, all the information that's related to a light tech project. Any questions so far? Yes, sir.
What if I have a series of contiguous parcels that I want to develop one parcel? That's the funding of those parcels. How would I leverage that general information?
So you're saying you've got...
20 parcels.
Okay, okay.
8 parcels. It's 8 parcels.
And do you...
One community that I want to develop. So I won't be affordable, I won't be 80% AMI.
Okay.
I'm looking for a certain dollar to support the development.
Okay. Do you have site control? Are they your properties? You own them? Okay. We don't have anything in here that addresses that necessarily, but he would you take that acreage and develop it in phases or do it in one shot? Okay.
Is it just,
We can talk offline.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
ask, yeah, we'll figure out some way to
Okay.
address it.
Thank you for the question. Okay. So again, next, section B, developer, home builder information, all the relevant contact information that is required. The one here, besides B8, is a company, a nonprofit organization. If you click yes or no, that will let us know if you are. I was looking for a drop-down menu, and it's here on B9. So is the company a DBE certified? And that's what we were talking about before. If you are a MWBE certified organization, you can submit that information, upload that to us. We will then reach out to you and help you to provide the proper, I guess, inversion of that so that you'll have the DBE certification, which is needed. So we'll, you know, whoever has a application that is moving forward, we will communicate with you on that. Okay, and then the other one is, has a developer or principal of the developer been flagged by a HUD? Yeah, it happens. By HUD for violation or performance issues. And obviously, and again, all right, you can answer accordingly. Moving on to C.
I have a couple of questions.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, the first question is, well, it's a two-part question. It said, what if your site has 2 pins? And to rephrase, he said, what if he owns the site which has 2 tax parcel numbers?
If there's 2 pins, then they're designated. If there's 2 pins, then they're designated as separate lots from all the information that I know. What they would need to do is obviously provide that information so we can look it up and verify what is the situation with that particular lot.
Yes.
Okay. So Next section, Section C, proposed ownership. Again, all the relevant contact information. Definitely the email is crucial. That is usually and mainly the way we communicate with home builders and developers. This is pretty straightforward, so I'm just going to kind of scroll through it. And we'll go on to the next section, Section D. Okay, so again, keeping in mind, this application is for both home builder and developer. So what we're asking for here is basically information in regards to the partners that you have, accountant, architect, attorney, so on and so forth. If you'll notice where my cursor is, we have the designation of MBE and WSE. We will be updating that to the DBE, and you can answer that accordingly. If your accountant or architect has that certification, by all means, click on this and answer yes or no, and that way we'll know. And hopefully by the next iteration, we'll have this all squared away where all the DBE information will be put forth and everyone will be certified in that. Let's go to Section E. Okay, this is the nonprofit participation. Again, this is one of the ones where if you click yes, you have a full drop down and just pertinent information that's required. I'm going to click off on the yes so we can focus on what Michael had referenced before. This is something new that we're including, and for various amounts of reasons, this is something that there's been a lot of interest in, and we find that once we provide this information, it's going to help to process the application. So what I'm talking about is the community neighborhood outreach, and basically what we're looking at is neighborhood services with their assistance. They have the neighborhood organizations, a name of contacts within the different neighborhoods, where we could then, if you guys reach out to us, we can provide you with those names. And what you'd be doing is going out, say, whether it's Happy Hills or any other area within the city, and you would communicate with the residents of that neighborhood and let them know what it is you're doing and what you're planning. But what we need is verification, whether it's through a video, signatures, outreach meetings. We need something to prove that you guys were out there, you talked to the neighborhood representatives, and were able to provide us that information.
Emails would be sufficient. You email the primary contact that responded one way or the other. Just have that.
Very good, thank you.
We're not, City of Charlotte requires 2 public meetings. We're not doing that. We're just, mainly because of some things that happened in the fall, where projects got canned essentially. We're trying to make sure that any sort of resistance to a development within an area, we get that ahead of time so we can know exactly how to treat that. To avoid it going to, through committee and council and having council doing something. So.
We've tried to do as much as we can to simplify the application and obtain as much information as possible so that we can expedite as quickly as possible for you guys. Okie doke. Let's go to Section F. This has quite a bit of information. Ooh, something went wrong. Let's see. Of course. I think we lost internet. You want to check that? Look at the icon.
Go right here to the. I'm just gonna bring it back up here.
That's okay.
Okay.
We can get to section F.
Yeah. All right, let you put it back up.
Thank you, dear. Okey doke. Okey doke. Apologize for that. That's what you dread when you're doing a live presentation, so let's see if we can get back to where we were. Okay, section F. Again, everything that you will see on this section is for the 3 minimums that we need for you to apply for in regards to lots. Everything's listed as Lot 1, Lot 2, Lot 3. And as you scroll down, you will have on F6, does the site location require rezoning approval? Simple yes or no. Does the site again, it's for Lot 2 and then Lot 3. I apologize for that. But this is a unit breakdown. This is, again, more designed for a multi-unit developer where you have different types of apartment configurations. In the case of a single-family home builder, you'd put what you are proposing, whether it's 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, what have you. And you would do it in triplicates. This is pretty much straightforward. It's just the same information 3 times over. The one section or the one line item is F11. This has to pertain to city's planning department. This is crucial. Anyone that's gone through the program before has heard us say that without this, we cannot process the application. You have to reach out to planning, give them the information for the lots that you guys are interested in, and then get an email back from them stating, yes, there is no zoning necessary. The zoning is RS9 or what have you, depending on what you're interested in. But that email communication needs to be uploaded into section F11. Without that, we cannot move forward. And as you can see in bold red, it says this documentation is not uploaded. This application will be rendered non-responsive. And the reason for that is to put all this time and effort into it, and there's an issue with one of the lots, it's basically gonna just set everything back, and it'll be a delay for all parties concerned. But I can't stress that enough. I will, let's see here. I will comment on what we have written here, and okay, so from my copy, it's a little different. But I'm going to allude to sketch plan, and that'll be further into the application. The next section is basically amenities. And again, this applies more, the bulk of it, for multi-unit developer. But as you can see, we've also included solar, advanced sustainability or energy saving features. We also have for charging infrastructure for electric vehicles. There are many homes that now have these capacities or these availabilities incorporated. And if that's something you want to do, then by all means, check it off and let us know. Okay, as we scroll on down, again, this here from F13 all the way down to F16 basically is for your light tech projects. In regards to the gentleman's question before, do you own or have an option on the parcel? We could try, I'm trying to see if this will give us, there it goes. So it'll give us, for example, F15, does the project have multiple sites? So you click yes, are they contiguous? Yes or no. You know, these are all questions that are relevant and we would need to know, obviously. Let me click on F16. And yes, I know this is not the fun part of the presentation, but this is the crucial key for you guys becoming wildly successful with a thorough application. Yes?
I don't know if John mentioned this, but we've worked with Neighborly, and generally speaking, if something's required to be uploaded, you go down to hit submit, it won't submit. It will bounce back. So, we're not talking about the quality of what you submitted, but the fact that you attach something will be, Neighborly can control and say if you haven't attached something, you can't hit submit.
So it's a second safeguard. Go ahead, sir. Yes, so basically, as you're filling out your application, you will notice that there's several areas where it's normally in red and it says required. So if you were not to fill or upload elevations, floor plans, or site plans, and you go to hit submit at the end of the application, when you go to hit submit, because it's complete, it won't let you. It'll bounce it back and have you review and see what it is that you haven't provided. Because we were having applications come through, they were hitting submit, but all the information wasn't there, and we had to deem them non-responsive. So this is kind of like a safeguard, if you will, to give you guys an opportunity to, to get a good application submitted. Section G. Basically, this information here is more related to a multi-unit developer, and I'll let you guys read those on your own. If we scroll down to where it says documentation, and again, you have elevations, floor plans, site plans, development budget. This applies obviously to your multi-unit developer, but it also applies to your home builder. If we do not have a budget for the house that you guys are building, there's no way for us to determine your cost and where it lands in regards to AMI and everything else that has to do with low-income housing. So a budget from the single-family home builders is required. Without that, the application is non-responsive. The next section to check off, it says confirmation from Winston-Salem, Forsyth County Planning and Development Services of initial site overview discussion. So just so you'll know, in the next iteration of this cycle, of this program, we are going to rephrase this just a little bit. But for the sake of this application cycle, what we are going to do is allow you to provide us a sketch plan. We had put some handouts out here, and it was the sketch plan information that planning provides. It's every Friday. I think it's from 8:30 to 10:30, and they are more than happy to help anyone try to figure out the type of house you're putting in, or development, obviously, and if that's all going to work, and they'll give you the highlights that you guys can look for. So keep in mind, basically what we're looking for here would be a sketch plan upload.
John?
Yes, sir.
So you're saying that developers must prepare and go through the sketch plan process?
Well, so
Prepare a sketch plan consistent with the guidelines and submit it and not have planning?
So the sketch plan we're looking for would be through planning from the service that they.
Actually do the sketch plan and get all their comments and feedback.
Correct, exactly right. And to be honest with you, that's really not been an issue. We've had developers that have already done that, that due diligence beforehand, and they've submitted what they've had, and that always helps everyone because it's got additional information and you can get a better perspective on what might be required on any given lot. The next, and thank you for that question.
John, excuse me, just 1 second. I got a couple of questions.
I'm like, I didn't do
from
it.
YouTube as well. What if your building is done and you did the neighborhood meeting several years ago, so you can't recreate that video from then?
Can you say that again?
So they had already previously had a neighborhood meeting that they went into where they were considering building.
Okay.
And so since it's been several years since they spoke with that neighborhood association, they want to know what else can they do because they can't recreate that video from that time.
They're going to need to do their level best to reach out to someone in that neighborhood outreach for that neighborhood. There has to be someone that is still present, if not the original individuals that he might or she might have contacted. But we need verification with an email at a minimum that a conversation was had and what the outcome was of that meeting.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I represent a neighborhood association. I want to be clear on what it is you're asking us. You want a video of the, like, we have the charrette.
Mm-hmm.
Had outreach in the past, canvass the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Video was canvass the neighborhood. How can you validate that?
Right. Good question. We put video in as an option. We just need confirmation that whoever the developer or the home builder is, that they have reached out to the community, communicated with the key individuals that basically are part of the neighborhood association, and provide, at the minimum, an email stating that the homeowners, the tenants, had been made aware that XYZ construction company wants to build this type of structure. And it's to let, what we're trying to encourage here is the communication between the residents of a neighborhood and a developer or a builder coming in, so that there's more of an understanding of what that developer's wanting to do.
I want to cap that down a little bit. Basically, we're not requiring a neighborhood meeting, okay? That is not a requirement. You're to reach out to the neighborhood association, whatever contact that you're given by neighborhood services, and get some sort of response back. We're not going to go into the level of what the association put out information on to residents, okay? That's not, we're not, again, we're not the city of Charlotte. We don't have $85 million to give out here. So just keep that in mind. If you do a community meeting, fantastic. I mean, that's great. That's better than just an email or a phone call or something you've got record of. But again, it's just make sure that the neighborhood association has been made aware and they acknowledge that they're aware of this development. If they have some sort of objection to it, they should probably put that in the response. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yes, so if the outreach has already been completed during rezoning, does that suffice?
I think that probably would. And when was that done?
About a year ago.
That's recent enough, I think, probably. If that changes, we'll let people know.
Thank you.
Just for clarification, is the outreach needed for large scale projects like the Mike projects or small city-owned lots as well?
Small city-owned lots as well, too. I mean, the reality is, though, it's a by right issue. So if one person says, I don't want to see a house there because I like to walk my dog on it, okay. You need affordable housing. Okay, so.
And I guess just a follow-up, I guess because the deadline is March 2nd.
No.
No, it's the 6th.
March 6th.
It's been changed.
Okay.
We had to figure out how it would work with the committee schedule and the city council schedule, and we were able to stretch it out a little bit.
Come to the microphone, Michael, so that, can you repeat his question? And for YouTube, they couldn't hear what his question was. In regards to a light tech project versus a single family home.
Is the outreach anybody that's getting a city-owned lot? Yes, it is, whether it's a single family home or it's a multifamily. If it's gone through a rezoning and gone through that public process recently and within the last year or so, probably that's satisfied that requirement.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay, John, I have another question from YouTube.
Yes.
To clarify, I am referencing the email confirmation from Planning and Zoning from Section F. You said it was needed for city-owned lots. Is it also needed for LIHTC developments?
Absolutely, for everyone. Yes. Is that it?
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So finishing up on Section G, at the bottom where I left off was basically letters of intent from lenders and or investors, other funding sources, including grants, project-based rent vouchers. The other one would be a resume, that is required, and portfolio from previous projects. All that information helps us to be able to make the most precise and accurate decision in regards to approving or not approving applications, in regards to the applications moving forward. And then, as we had mentioned previously, you'll get here and you're going to hit complete and submit. Again, if there is something that you have not submitted, then it's going to kick it back, and you just need to double check your application, because we truly want everyone to be wildly successful, because the more success you guys have, the more we have, and then the residents of Winston-Salem will benefit from the houses and the developments that you guys build, and that is the ultimate goal that we all have in mind. And with that, I say, if you have any questions, please tell me, but that's the end of the presentation.
I'm sure it may be obvious, but I just want to be clear. We set up a user account, we go into it. If we get, it's going to take a couple days for everybody to get all their stuff together. If we upload stuff along the way, we log back out. We log back in, all the work that we've done before has been saved in Neighborly.
Yes, sir.
All of our uploads that we've done has been saved.
Yes, sir. Yep. You can definitely go back. I do want to show you guys one feature, because I've had this question occur in the other two iterations of the program. And if you go to, if you scroll down to documents, you click on documents, it'll bring up this page. You can come over here where it says print application, and it will let you print either a page or two or the whole entire document. This is my access, which is administrative access, but basically you guys would have up to the point of submit, and you can click on all those and then hit render, and you can have a printout of the application you have. I think that'll be a really helpful feature, because even I, or us, being in and out of Neighborly every day, sometimes you're like, where, you need to pick up where you left off, and sometimes it gets a little difficult. But I just wanted to share that with you guys, because I think it'll be a good tool to have to help you in filling out the application. Any other questions? Okay, I appreciate it, and I wish you all the very best. Do I need to get out of Neighborly, or you might use it? I'll let her do it. She's...
No? Good afternoon, everyone. I am Erisbeth Adame Smith. I am the Housing Development Program Coordinator. And so we're going to be going over some timelines, schedules, deadlines. Let me pull this up. So as you guys know, this request for proposal was sent out on February 5th. And in that initial deadline date, you did have March the 2nd, which of course, as it's been said now, that has been extended for March the 6th, which falls on a Friday, and the deadline is at 5:00 p.m. Please take your time with these applications. As you've seen, they are lengthy. You do need to contact quite a few people. So take your time with that. We have had record that in the past, people that have submitted these applications at the last minute, they usually tend to make mistakes and errors. And of course, that just opens it up for them, to getting denied. And we don't want that. So please just start as soon as possible. So after the deadline, housing development staff is going to come in Monday morning on the 9th at 8:00, and we're going to start reviewing these applications. So we think it's probably going to take us about 2 days maybe, but this is where we're going to be using that criteria scoring and making sure that the application is full to completion, and make sure that you guys have uploaded all your required documents. Then this is not the end of the process. It doesn't stop with housing development. We're not the ones who award it. We're not the ones who fully approve it. As a matter of fact, this application, the application that you have submitted, now is presented to the Affordable Housing Coalition Board. And for those of you who are not familiar with the Affordable Housing Coalition, this is a board that is built from members from the community that have an expertise in different kinds of specific fields, kind of like real estate, planning, nonprofits, public housing as well, and financing institutions like banks. So we have a little bit of different areas of expertise that at this time during the meeting, they are able to provide any feedback, any comments, answer any questions that they might have at that time. And so this later brings us to the General Government Committee. This is where we take that feedback that's been presented and we take it to, it's not the entire city council, but it is a few of the members from the city council that, we have a meeting, we present all of these projects. They're the ones who pretty much provide those final recommendations that are presented at the city council meeting, which is going to be on May 4th. And so may the 4th be with you that day that your projects are approved. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to throw that in there. And so yeah, at the end, it's not housing development that approves your projects. It doesn't matter how much we recommend these projects, it's city council that has the final say. So we just need to put that out there. It's not us. It goes to the higher people. And of course, at any point of time that you're submitting these applications, have questions, just reach out to us. Let us know. We're here to help. Our success is based on your success. So we want to make sure that, everything is going accordingly. Yeah. Any questions?
I have a question, but I'm not sure.
I have a question. You said it's not going through all council members, or
The General Government Committee, that's where only partial members are in that meeting. It does go to City Council. That's where it's, the formality, everyone's there. So that's not going to be until May the 4th. Mm-hmm.
How did the city council find out if they don't have a report? So what happened at Hill was we were under an agreement, we were co-developing with True Homes and other organizations to develop land. They decided True Homes circled back and purchased other available lots in that area. And we didn't know about it.
That is one of the things we are trying to improve. We're pretty new to this division. There was a transition a few months ago. That is definitely one of the things we were trying to improve, more communication with neighborhood associations, city council, making sure that everybody is on the same page, that everyone is being made aware of these projects that are coming in.
And that was just the city council. Sorry, what?
This was for Happy Hill.
The city council made the
City lots.
Yeah. Yes, anything that has been done. Mm-hmm. Yes, everything needs to be approved by City Council, even the iterations before this one. Mm-hmm. So what happens after City Council approval? So if your project is approved by City Council, you will be receiving a notice of award, and that's going to be provided to you within the 2 weeks from the City Council meeting. After that, you will be getting a purchase and development agreement. It's going to be issued to you for you to review, to sign. And so this agreement pretty much covers the description of the project, any terms, conditions. So please take your time when you're reviewing these. If you guys have any questions, reach out to us. And of course, I think our attorney will also be involved at that time. So anything that comes up that you have questions, or maybe, if there's some negotiation that you want to do, we'll take that into consideration as well. Now, when you are returning this agreement to us, it is required that you do submit a certificate of insurance. If you do not submit that certificate of insurance, we cannot route the agreement for the remaining signatures. It does go through various departments, budget, finance, city manager, and so we want to make sure that that document, which is very important, certificate of insurance, this also has to include any policy coverages, builders, risk insurance, and then the city needs to be noted that it's endorsed to be included with as an additional insured policyholder. So once that's been received, it's been fully executed, it's been signed by everyone, that's when your 90-day due diligence period starts. This is where you want to do your research, your surveys, your inspections, get all of that done at that time. And then once that is completed, the 90 days, then closing can begin and the deed of trust can be signed over to you, so that parcel will now belong to you, okay? And then, of course, construction begins. So then you can start moving those pieces around to get that project moving. Any questions? Okay.
Yeah, do you have the option of bypassing a portion of that 90 days if you need to hit a certain?
Yeah, I don't think that would be an issue. If you have everything ready, I think we can go ahead and notify our attorney to go ahead and get those closing documents ready. Yes, I believe it is, give me 1 second. So for single family homes, I know that the first home is due in 6 months of the effective date, and that would be the effective date of the agreement. After that, I believe you get, give me 1 moment. 2 years, 24 months, correct. So you get 24 months, and then all money needs to be spent within 36 months. Yeah. Anyone else? No? Go ahead.
So, one of the things, because we worked through the first, and 5 lots in the first part of the process, where in closing, it's closed, there's a question about the $35,000.
Mm-hmm.
It's not clear, but I'm feeling a little bit different about it. So, my legal, at closing, my lawyer stated that there would be a $35,000 lien against the property, and they wanted the first position.
Yes.
So I had to go back and request, and they were pretty good about it, removing the first position and taking the second position next to that. But I'm still not completely sure about the loan itself, because it is a loan that is actually going to be applied to us as a developer, but it's supposed to be passed on to the buyer after 120 days.
Yes, and I'm going to touch a little bit about that in just a few minutes, specifically for single family homes. So yes, I'm just going to move on and we'll talk about that in just a few minutes, if you don't mind. So the important thing, how do I get the money, right? It's what we all want. So draw requests are made, and this is with you providing an invoice with the backup. If you have an AIA form that has all the breakdown, you can submit that to us, and then John will pretty much go out there and do an inspection, make sure that, you know, there has been some movement and construction and that those materials were used. And you do have to submit these requests 21 days before you actually need the funds if you need to pay any subcontractors or any employers or anything like that. So it is policy from the city that you do give us 21 days because it does take some time for processing. It has to go through approvals and budget, finance. So that's just kind of giving us some time to get those payments done. And then for those developers, you do have 3 business days that after you receive the funds, you do need to pay your contractors and suppliers. So you do have to submit some verification, but all of that will be provided to you later in a summary that we're going to be issuing for those who are approved and awarded. Questions about this? No? Okay. Am I going pretty fast? Sometimes I go really fast. Okay, so now we're going to touch on single family homes. So you were speaking of, sir, in regards to the lien positions. I think it is based on the property. I'm new here. I've only been here 4 weeks, but for what I've seen, it does put the home into the first lien. I'm sorry, the first. What is it? First lien position, and then the second lien position. Yes. So what it is? Yes, these funds, which is now going to be $40,000 for single-family homes, not $35,000. It can be a little more, but that's for these committees to decide if they want to allow more funding. So yes, let's say it's $35,000. Then that $35,000 is for construction costs. You're going to use that money for to build the home. What happens is we want to keep these homes affordable. We want to sell these homes to those families who are within those low to moderate income guidelines. So in order for that to happen at closing, for the home buyer and you, the home builder, that lien is released from you and put onto the home buyer with those terms of 15-year affordability period. They don't have to pay anything. They just have to live in the home for that affordability period, which is of 15 years. Okay? Yes. Yeah, there is like a deed of trust that is signed at that time of closing with the home buyer. But going back to this, whenever you finish the project, the home builder is responsible for marketing. If you work with a real estate agency, if you post it on Zillow, you do need to put in that description that the home buyer does need to meet those income qualification guidelines because it is a required guideline for them to be able to meet that affordability. So at that time, when you get to that, process there, then you can always reach out to us and say, hey, like, what do I put on here? We can provide you with, some verbiage or something that you can put on there. Our goal is to make this more efficient, communicate more with you guys, provide you with the necessary documentation. And so that's currently what we've been doing, just trying to make it, as simple as possible and keep that communication going. So at the time of closing, as it's been mentioned, that's when that deed is released from you and passed over to the home buyer. There have been many misunderstandings, or we've been coming into some cases where the misunderstanding was that the $35,000 was for the home buyer, and that's not the case. It's not direct down payment assistance. It's to keep the home construction affordable. Mm-hmm. Anything else?
So the home buyer sells within that 15-year period, that's passed on again, or does that need to be paid?
No, it gets paid back. So after they have met their income guidelines, we do not check for income qualification every year. What we do check is that they are still the owner of that property for those 15 years. If they leave the unit, then there is a default where they do need to repay some of the money back because that purpose for that loan is no longer it is, yes, some. Yes, go ahead.
We're moving away from what you call resale to recapture. Okay, resale is when you're supposed to monitor the home buyers in perpetuity. We don't have the ability to do that. So it is basically the first person that buys that house must be income qualified. That is for 15 years because that's by ordinance. 2-9 that's how that works, and 2-10. If they leave before or sell that before, right now it would be the full payback of whatever that assistance was at closing back to the city, or we might be able to get that prorated, but I don't know if we're able to do that at this point. After that, it doesn't matter. What I'm saying is we're not doing resale, we're doing recapture. What that means is after the first buyer goes through that process, there's no longer any deed of trust on the house.
So the first buyer qualifies, 10 years in, they want to relocate.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no way for a subsequent income qualified buyer to retain them.
That is not what we're going to do going forward.
But once they meet that 15-year affordability period, they do get a satisfaction of release of liens. Yep. And then again, there's, after that 15 period, we don't check income or anything like that. Anything else? It's a lot of information, I know. But again, these questions will come up, you know, so just let us know. We're here to work with you guys. And again, we have, whenever you start getting into those contracts, when you have questions, we do have an attorney that is great at you know, communicating and answering those questions as well. Are we good?
Yeah, so as a realtor, that 15-year period is almost like you said, things change. Economy changes, you do your job. They aren't, is it a case-by-case situation where you might evaluate a person's change? Like 15, because it's almost like being bound to the property.
Yeah.
And then there's the resale, right? A couple of years ago, property value shot up, you know, getting $100,000 in equity in your property in 3 months. And a lot of people took advantage of that and they sold their home. But if I purchased under this program, I could never take advantage of the equity in my home.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be for welfare as well.
And this right now, it's not something we haven't really actually discussed. It is, you know, we'll definitely take this feedback back to, you know, our attorney and discuss with them in regards to what we can do moving maybe forward down the line. But for now, right now, we are having to work with those HUD requirement guidelines. Or is it the ordinances? I'm new here, I told you.
There is no HUD funding in our funding that we have for housing development, okay? So we don't have to do resale recapture. We need to make sure that there's a 15-year note and deed put on the house. If somebody sells before then, they have to pay it back. Point blank. And if it changes, then they'll be let them know. Maybe they take it to council. I don't know. Maybe council would say, you know, we're not going to just say, okay, have at it.
Conveyance to survivors?
We'll have to write that in the sandbox.
That is a good question. Yeah. I'm not familiar with the terms here. Let me write that down, actually. Yeah. All right. Any other questions? No? All right. So I'm going to pass this on to Will Ely. He's going to talk about environmental and energy efficiency resources. Oops. Yeah, of course.
All right, it's working. Great, how's everyone doing? Thank you so much for this opportunity to speak with y'all. My name is Will Ely. I'm the Green Economy Program Director at Piedmont Environmental Alliance. We're a Winston-Salem-based environmental nonprofit that for the past 20 years have been helping build a more just, resilient, and environmentally sustainable community. A great deal of my work with a background in federal clean energy policy is helping our community make the most of the Inflation Reduction Act, which was signed into law by the Biden-Harris administration in 2022, predominantly clean energy tax credits for nonprofits and local governments, with a significant amount of money to the tune of $8.8 billion to help low and moderate income families make their homes more climate resilient and energy efficient. Here in Winston-Salem, over the past 3 years, really proud of leveraging these IRA tax benefits to the benefit of our community. We brought more than 100 new solar and battery projects to our community, and in total, this has helped eliminate nearly 3 million pounds of carbon dioxide annually, to the tune of about $6 million in new clean energy investment. And we've got some partners in here at Goler that has been part of a lot of community group purchasing campaigns for solar. But here's an example of a project we recently worked on with Second Harvest Food Bank of Northwest North Carolina, helping them take advantage of a 50% federal tax credit stack for a 1 megawatt rooftop solar project. A $1.5 million project cut down to $750,000 thanks to federal clean energy incentives, and it's ultimately saving them about $140,000 a year on utility costs. That's about $250,000 more meals for members of our community each year, and it will net them about $5.5 million after a 30-year period. So these types of projects in low-income communities and on top of brownfields that are helping our community make the most of these. But I'm going to speak predominantly about energy efficiency and electrification in our homes. Primarily, our research has shown that 1 in 8 childhood asthma cases in the United States are linked to gas stoves in our homes. So a lot of our work is related to, I know a lot of affordable houses are now predominantly leaning on high energy efficiency electric appliances for several reasons. Certainly the public health benefits are of note. Additionally, residential buildings account for anywhere from 10 to 30% of our annual greenhouse gas emissions in our country. 30% if we think of our homes as sites for plugging in zero-emission vehicles. That's where that additional opportunity savings comes from. But specifically, we know there are 6 census tracts in Winston-Salem, Forsyth County that are in the 90th plus percentile nationally for energy burden. So households that are spending anywhere from 6 to 20 to even 30% of their monthly income on utility bills. Certainly an acute issue, and it's caught the attention of our state energy office and a big opportunity to create more affordable, healthier, and more climate resilient homes. I'm going to mostly speak to the Energy Saver NC rebate program. This is $208 million from the Department of Energy that North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality has been dispersing, but ultimately those dollars are all set aside for income qualifying households, both homeowner occupied and tenant occupied, including single home and multifamily properties. But that launched here in the Triad in December of 2025. And for background, ultimately, there are $30,000 worth of point of sale rebates that are eligible for households that are 80% of area median income and below. And between 80 and 150, about $18,000 worth of point of sale rebates. And ultimately, insulation and heat pump technologies are particularly prioritized with this program. And I reinforce this point of saleness that's particularly equitable for the recipient, as these are, a contractor will extend these at the point of sale, but that does require the state to operate their own contractor network. So any trades-based contractor you will be working with needs to be approved by the state energy office for these rebates to be facilitated. And we're right now in the kind of the process of building out that network locally. But unfortunately, we only have 2 HVAC electrical and plumbing contractors in the Triad right now that are authorized to facilitate those rebates. So kind of mission critical for y'all to begin having those conversations with trades contractors y'all work with. Sure thing. They get, up to $30,000. That contractor specifically will extend that rebate to the developer or homeowner at the transaction. Yep. Two Gwyn Services and Go Green Plumbing Electrical out of Greensboro are the 2 contractors that are currently approved under the program. There are several others that are in the process of being approved. Yes, I can. Yeah. Absolutely. Ultimately, to kind of compound issues that the Energy Saver NC program is technically 2 distinct federal rebate programs. The first is called Homeowners Managing Energy Savings, though you don't have to be a homeowner in order to unlock those rebates. But this is for predominantly for so long as a combination of any of these investments reduce modeled energy uses by 20%, an 80% AMI or below household would be able to put forward $18,000 towards these specific investments. So just a kind of a short list, predominantly HVAC upgrades and insulation. These are for the homes property are not eligible dollars for new construction. So anyone engaged in adaptive reuse or renovation would be able to unlock these.
These credits be applied for retroactively?
They cannot, unfortunately. Some states have run those differently, but New York and Wisconsin, for example, had programs that were already in place. They'd simply infuse federal dollars into them. North Carolina had to build theirs anew, but unfortunately, they are not retroactively applied. And the HERE program, worth $14,000 per qualifying home electrification appliance rebates. This is a short list of the technologies that are incentivized and the dollar amounts per technology that can be unlocked. Again, heat pump water heater, heat pump space heating, the most lucrative, and additionally, should there be any need for electrical panel upgrade or conduit related to any of the pre-existing projects, that could be unlocked as well.
My apologies. Would you mind double checking that cable?
Sure.
I think that's why it may be blinking.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a quick plug in and replug in. Do that. Hopefully that resolves the issue. But I've outlined here a rehab scenario, assuming a household is 80% of AMI or below. Again, that modeled energy savings would need to be hit. So typically a combination of HVAC, smart thermostat, and insulation used for the home side of the program. And then should there be any existing gas-powered infrastructure in the kitchen, need for mechanical ventilation or water heaters, an additional $5,000 can be applied. So presumably under this scenario, there's $23,030 in a capital stack to make a tenant more financially secure and healthier. And yeah, I'm not sure why short circuiting. I'll just kind of press forward if that's okay. Yeah, so a new construction scenario, again, assuming 80% of AMI or below, again, an $8,000 allocation for heat pump HVAC, $1,750 for heat pump water heater, and kitchen range, and heat pump washer dryer, which is a particularly new technology, but a ventless space-saving investment should that be possible. But kind of the max out, you're looking for a new construction and a single-family property or a multifamily investment as $11,430. So quite significant. Again, contractors will have to be approved. These are some general guidelines of those requirements. And I will note that they will need to acquire Building Performance Institute Building Science Principles certification. That can be done online, but at least one employee of a qualifying contractor will have to have that certification. It's like ultimately a 15-hour online class. I know that Piedmont Triad Regional Council has an in-person iteration of that training at their Energize the Carolinas facility in Kernersville. But I definitely recommend distributing information about this program to contractors as soon as you're able, as that is the biggest hurdle in our community right now in maximizing these benefits. I know that we talked a good bit about garages and EV charging infrastructure. There's a short list of incentives that are still very much alive despite the current president's One Big Beautiful Bill that eradicated a lot of the Inflation Reduction Act several years. But there is a federal tax credit that is geographically determined, but expires on June 30th of 2026. That can defray any EV charging infrastructure investment by 30%. Duke Energy also has their charger prep credit for both commercial and residential customers that covers a fair amount of cost for conduit and any associated panel upgrades. But ultimately, my organization has been recommending investments as little as a 240-volt outlet in a garage. Most electric vehicle owners will have the level 2 charging cord sold to them with their vehicle purchase. So it's nothing more than having enough room in the panel for an additional dryer that would allow them to fully charge their car overnight. But between anywhere from 4 to 8 hours. But we are kind of the whys behind it is that vehicles are the largest source of air pollution in Winston-Salem. Generally estimate that EV owners save about $1,000 in fuel and maintenance costs each year. And the city county has averaged about 80 new EV registrations per month for the past 2.5 years. So we're looking at continued significant growth of EV ownership despite federal headwinds. Yeah, real quickly, kind of electrification at scale. My organization, along with PTRC, Clean Energy Fund of the Carolinas, and the city of Winston-Salem, recently authored a public-private partnership plan specific to multifamily affordable housing, looking at 19 properties for the most part owned and operated by Aspire, Winston-Salem Housing Authority, formerly known as, and we assessed those 19 properties and found $15.8 million worth of Energy Saver NC rebate eligible upgrades alone. And we modeled that and estimated that, nearly $650,000 in utility costs as a result per year, and 3,776 tons of carbon dioxide per year avoided should all of those upgrades be made, and additionally a high value health savings of $391,000, kind of writ large, predominantly looking at facilities with significant gas-powered furnaces, stoves, and water heaters. Yeah, quick overview. We have some upcoming events specific to Energy Saver NC and our community's broader home electrification campaign called Electrify the Triad. And we'll have representatives from the Energy Saver NC program, Clean Energy Fund of the Carolinas, which is our state's green bank, and the City of Winston-Salem for a contractor info session that will be online this Thursday, February 19th at 5:30 p.m. I'll make sure to kind of share invitation details perhaps and follow up. And then a broader launch of our Electrify the Triad event on Saturday, February 28th at Piedmont Triad Regional Council's HQ in Kernersville. I've just said a lot of words, so I'm going to pause there. What's that? Tankless water heaters that's not a technology that would be covered under the program. They're foregrounding electric heat pump water heaters to maximize, but that's, I don't know if any other questions. I didn't touch too much on, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, is there a limit as far as amount of units or a minimum amount of units if you're doing multifamily?
Good question. So we're working right now with the State Energy Office to design the multifamily rollout of Energy Saver NC. They're predominantly focused on single family right now. That plan will roll out in August, but so long as 50% of occupants of a multifamily building or 80% of AMI or below, there is no building cap. So that would be presumably up to 30K per unit, even if there's 500 units. I'm not sure the State Energy Office wants to spend all of its money in one place, but if there's a lot of opportunity for decarbonization and public health improvements, then I think it would be an attractive application. And I didn't speak too much to solar. I know the multifamily solar is a tough nut to crack in North Carolina, but especially for nonprofits in the space that are interested in learning more about taking direct advantage of associated tax credits and their bonuses, please feel free to contact me. We've got a lot of experience navigating that stack, so long as such an investment would be placed in service or turned on by December 31st, 2027. Those incentives still remain despite other federal headwinds. So that's all I got. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Will.
Okay. Just gonna work. We actually skipped over. I was going to talk about scoring a little bit. And what is going on? There we go. Scoring matrix. I guess somebody wanted to skip me. I'm not sure why. But like I said, the scoring is not the only tool that we're going to use for applications, but it is important. It is one of just many things that we're going to evaluate applications on. Development quality used to be a little bit heavier scored, but that's just about, was it complete? Was it a complete application? Are the renderings professional? That sort of thing. Along with, did they have a certain number of amenities that we're asking for? Were they responsive to the application request and the RFP? Target population priorities, again, you know what they are if you're a multifamily provider. Intellectually developmentally disabled, maybe more accessible units would be good too. Putting in more fully accessible units. Readiness to proceed. you know, if you've got your rezoning done, you're probably pretty good to go. If you already have your tax credits, you're probably pretty good, you know, ready to go. So things like that will be taken into account. Leveraged resources, financial feasibility. You know, if you've got credits, that's good. If you've got a bond issuance from the Housing Authority, fantastic. I mean, it just depends on what your financing, your capital stack's going to look like, and if you've already got that acquired for that project. Development management team, have you done this before? That goes back to the resumes and things like that in the application. We see all that from the application. The disadvantaged business enterprise, again, that's a state designation, but as things change, or right now, if you've got MWBE, we will see if we can fit somebody into that slot that's DBE to get those credits. And then also that you're going to abide by Section 2-9 for city-owned properties, or 2-10 when you're getting funding that's not on a city-owned property. Amenities and community integration, that goes back to what Will was talking about. Do you have some of those electrification amenities? Do you have the potential for plug-in? As time goes on, even for the single-family homes, more and more cars on the used market are going to be electric vehicles. You know, think about 10 years from now, 20 years from now, you've got somebody in that house, boy, that might be helpful if you had that plug there. I mean, you know, you're not thinking about this year or next year, you're thinking about 10, 15 years from now. And then supportive services, if you are doing a project that has a provider that's going to be providing supportive services, you get those points. And then that community neighborhood outreach is mandatory. So you don't get points for that, you just get to submit your application. So that actually wraps it up for these presentations. Are there any other questions for any of the presentations, whether it's the design standards, the Will's PEA's presentation, the yes?
I have a YouTube question.
Great.
Okay. Back in relation to neighborly, the question was for developers submitting larger multifamily LIHTC applications. The manual says we must submit all required checklist items. The application does not have anywhere to upload all of these items.
Well, in answer to that question, I'm not really sure how to answer it, because I'm pretty sure that there is a place to upload everything. So John, would you like to comment on that?
So the information for the LIHTC projects would definitely go under Section F. And also, it's throughout the application. There's multiple areas that require that information. Section G would have the development budget, which for a LIHTC developer, they've got to submit the 30-year pro forma. Budget needs to include their operating expense. That's where you would provide the information that that question is being derived from. It would be in Section G under documentation.
Thank you.
Since you're up there, quick question.
Yes, sir.
Around the DBE participation, if we're partnering with a DBE contractor, how does that interact? So you had the line item for architect, you had the line item for each area. But let's say we're doing a partnership, is there a percentage that it'll take for us to hit that, to get those points, or what does?
No, if your general contractor is a DBE contractor, you'll get those points.
Yeah.
If you're a DBE recipient, you'll get those points. Then it starts dropping off. General contractor grantee is the main point. All right. All right, do we have any other questions before we wrap it up this afternoon? Going once, going twice, sold. I want to thank everybody for being here, and I really do hope that we get enough applications in. We want to offload as many of these city properties as we can. That is not a business model that the management office wants to have anymore. So you know, we need those applications. We need people that are interested in the properties. So I do appreciate everybody's participation, and it's good seeing everybody. And I think we'll be sending out the PowerPoints probably the next day or two, so you'll have that for reference. So thank you, and have a great afternoon.